Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell, we will be talking about a very active pattern that could be bringing multiple winter storms through the new year. Each one of these has a potential to be kind of a small or a large system. The models are all over the place, but there's just going to be an abundance of moisture. And this is going to be, for pretty much a certainty at this point, dropping a ton of snow and rain across the west. But what it does a bit further towards the east, towards east of the Rockies, it's a bit uncertain, and I've been saying that all week. But it's still pretty exciting. Obviously, rain, snow, whatever it may be. I'm gonna try going over most of it today and showing you what the pattern has in store. And I do want to say that it is the first day of winter. Just looking at the calendar, it's the 21st, the shortest day of the year in the northern hemisphere. And I do think my volume is a bit quiet right now, so if that is the case, I will increase it just a second. But before we do, if you guys if you enjoy this channel, check out the other videos, check out the channel, see if you enjoy it, consider subscribing, consider liking the video. I'm trying to get close to the mic because I think it's really quiet. And I will, if you have any comments, leave them down below. Otherwise, let's start talking about this active pattern. Okay, so I think I fixed the microphone. It is probably a bit louder right now. I hope it is louder because, yeah, for some reason I checked the settings and it was decreased almost to 20% of what it should be. So I don't know why it does that. It's probably my own mistake. I'll just have to check it pretty more often, and I hope that it is loud enough right now. Okay, let's start talking about this and start going into the details of this. So, forecast models. Let's take a look at the GFS. So, first off, I just want to show you, kind of run through this and show you why I mean hyperactive patterns. So, a lot of you may be thinking that's aggressive wording, but let me just go back one more time and look at all of this darn moisture right here. I mean, it is just, it's a pretty much ocean just opened up onto the United States. And look, it is producing system after system, feet of snow across the Sierra. Some of the amounts that could fall are absolutely absurd. I mean, truly, that's the best way to put it. And notice this continues. And this model, the newest one, only goes through 252 hours. If I were to show you the 12Z1, which is kind of the previous model run of the GFS model, then you could see that the active pattern goes on even into the long range, potentially producing some massive beasts. Again, of varying place, magnitude, and location. So just looking at some of the snowfall totals through the 384 hours across the United States, you would quickly see it's several locations picking up a lot of snow. So notice first off, the Midwest. I mean, whoa, that is a ton of snow. Obviously, if this were to come true, this is just one scenario from one model. And again, it's going to change, but you can see it's favoring very heavy snow for the northern half of the country, northern third, I should say. The Northeast included mainly the inland areas, but getting pretty darn close to the coast, southern Canada. And look at that. That is kind of really the things that, or the place that really takes the medal for being extremely active. I mean, let me just zoom in more so you have it more kind of a bit more accurate, and you can see obviously where the big mountain ranges are. Anywhere you see those white, that is, that's off the chart, and that's well off the chart. Some of these locations are, in the next 15 days, could be seeing 200, 300 inches of snow, according to some models. You can see the Bitterroots, the Cascades, the Wasatch, the Tetons, the mountains of Colorado, the San Juan right there, the Sierra Nevada, all seeing just ridiculous amounts of snowfall. Truly just insane. That's, look at those. It's all off the charts, and this is just 15 days, right? And with the La Nina pattern, I know that, some people were saying it's a La Nina, we are expecting a very dry winter. And, that is reasonable to assume with a La Nina, but this right here is proof as to why you can't assume every El Nino or La Nina is the same, or just solely base your winter forecast off of that. I saw reservoirs across all of these locations, people panicking. It's going to be dry, it's going to be bad. It's definitely a possibility, but at this point, that seems to be a lessened one. And of course, the precip, this is just snowfall. If you live in a lower elevations areas, you're going to see a lot of rain. Look at California, the large cities, anywhere in Idaho, Wyoming, there are a lot of locations seeing good amounts of moisture. And that includes, you could see even Arizona, New Mexico, areas that have been lacking so far. So this is splendid news. Again, it may be a bit too much in a given time frame, but overall, long-term wise, this is very good news for the for the West. And again, with the newest model run, it only goes out a few hours, 138, but just through that time frame of next Monday. I mean, already several areas seeing several inches, if not, 10, 11 across the Sierra. So, really, really, truly a good news, guys. Good news for the mountains across much of the West. So, that is the hyperactivity that I kind of wanted to show you. Let's go back to the GFS, but look at the whole entire United States. And let's take a switch back to the MSLP and precip and try tracking out any of these individual storm systems. So let me try doing this, right? So first off, in the very near term, we do have a bunch of little clippers and storms that will be occurring across the northern United States. One did already occur today. You can see it dropped a decent swath of snow. I mean, you can't see that, but I can show you that. Look at this right here. That's the snow that fell. And areas where there was lake enhancement from the strong winds, look at that, 12 inches, almost a foot right there in the Arrowhead, right there, the Grand Marinas of the Arrowhead in Minnesota, Grand Marias. And then decent amounts. I mean, everywhere else, this is kind of an overperformer, 4, 5, 7 inches in some locations. Look at that right there, 7.8. And of course, it's still snowing across the UP. If you were to take a look at the radar, you can see that it's still ongoing, and it will eventually merge with this beast right here to the south, producing a bit of snow for the northeast, which is our next system we have to watch for. Regarding the west, look how much moisture there already is across California, but look how many warnings and watches there are. I mean, that's a lot, right? All over, already into the Yellowstone area, there are winter storm watches in effect, 12 to 16 inches, and right there in the Old Faithful area, 4 to 9. 8 inches of rainfall. The Sierra Nevada also seeing very good amounts of snow. Obviously, probably the biggest mountain range that sees the biggest amount. Look at that. I mean, up to 9 feet. That will bring the average snowpack probably to 200 to 250% of what it should be. And this is really from north to south an event. This is not just the northern half. In fact, the southern half may get proportionally hit harder with up to 8 inches. 8 feet. Truly a remarkable event. And you can see the Cascades also getting in on that with 5 to 23 inches possible above 3,000 feet. Obviously getting higher as you go. And yeah, just a really extreme event. And we do have a bit of snow across the Appalachians right there in North Carolina, so that is also very kind of interesting to note of. And yeah, by the way, in Canada, this nor'easter will really take a blow for those locations. 20 to 30 centimeters, up to a foot and a half of snow. And again, I could show you this on the radar, on the weather model, and you can see what the weather models do with this. Boom, there's our clipper, there's our nor'easter, and it just clips the United States, but Canada, it really goes on them. And you can see it really develops into a wind beast right there, hour 42. So this is this upcoming Thursday. It's already out of here. Notice, as I mentioned, you do have several small clippers. This is very speedy, very quick, a quick dose of maybe an inch, maybe 2 inches, and then it kind of skedaddles towards even New York, maybe Connecticut, Hartford, Boston, seeing a bit of snow out of that for New Year's Eve. So that's gonna be a bit. That's actually gonna be pretty nice for those areas. And then notice, I mean, the West. Really, every Western state is just getting hammered right here, right? This is Friday, this is Saturday, and this is where our first storm potentially is for the Midwest. Again, I mean, this is already occurring for the West, and that's pretty much a certainty. But what it does across the Midwest is rather uncertain, and all the models show different things. It's kind of like a chaos. It's pretty much chaotic. That's one way to describe this upcoming forecast. Notice we do have a bit of warm advection precipitation out ahead of this, mainly in the form of rain for much of the kind of areas that are affected by this on Christmas Day. But then towards as you get towards the day, on Christmas, Saturday in the evening, now we have snow breaking out across South Dakota, North Dakota, so that's definitely a white Christmas for you guys. And according to this model, a snowstorm potentially for the Twin Cities, right? Green Bay, Wisconsin, Iowa on Christmas. Again, how far this rain snow line goes, will it bring snow to Illinois? Will it stay even further north and not even bring rain, or maybe potentially even bring rain to southern Minnesota? That's the range of models. They all show this system, but there's so many variations, it's going to be hard to kind of show you what's actually going to happen, and it's actually impossible to show you what's going to happen, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what may happen. And notice that, right, this thing does bring snow into the northeast. Toronto maybe get some ice, snow out of this Christmas day and into Christmas night and into the kind of the post-Christmas day, all right, the 26th, and then maybe even Boston gets in on a bit of snow, the coastal cities, right? And notice that while that is occurring, the West is experiencing yet another storm, and a big one, and that does transition into the Midwest, brings another shot of snow on the 27th, so again, just a few days afterwards. You can see a bit more south, that's snow, but it does eventually kind of not really form into a winter storm, according to this weather model. Again, because these all weather models show different things. Even every 6 hours the GFS shows something else. And then look, another system rides into the west. Again, at this point, that is just feet on feet and feet on top of snow. Probably, again, maybe at this point some locations already have received 10 feet of snow 156 hours out. And of course that does produce another storm. Whether or not this produces a big one or just kind of a scattered one you can see across the Midwest, we'll have to wait and see. But at this point, this is Wednesday, December 29th. So, after Christmas, but just before New Year's. And right for New Year's, we have New Year's Eve. We have another system moving into the southwest, a big one for Arizona, Utah, Colorado, the southwest, right? And this does bring a bit of snow into the north, a bit of rain. Again, what the models do with this is really unpredictable. You can see this one brings snow into Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, right into the northeast. And there we have yet another system moving in. So I hope you get the point that this is a very, very, very active weather pattern. And again, these individual storms, what they do, what will they result in? They're not all going to be massive. That's the thing. But they're not all going to be tiny little disorganized systems. And it's going to be hard to see. It's going to be hard to decipher which ones are organized, which ones aren't. And then also where those big ones are going to go. So how much snow will they drop? How much rain? At what intensity? At what time? What cities? It's kind of a nightmare. But it is going to be an active pattern regardless of whatever way you want to put it. And again, we're just through 138 hours, so this is just through Monday, 2 days after Christmas, where you could see decent amounts across the Midwest, potentially already across Canada, and very, very good amounts across the Southwest. Again, only a fraction of what this whole total pattern may bring to those areas, as it's only getting kick-started right here. Notice the Bitterroots they're well over 2 feet widespread. Same with the Tetons, a bit less maybe because it's a bit further inland, but the Sierras, look at that amount right there, 108 inches around the Oroville area. That is just ridiculous. And the Cascades also seeing a lot of precipitation. This is just truly incredible. Here's some of these amounts, and you can see the previous model run showed something very similar. The 6 o'clock one showed something very similar. And again, further on you go, the more active it seems to be getting. So good news for the reservoirs. Maybe not so much for the crippling amounts of snow that will be falling. That's just a bit too much. Regardless, let's move onto another model. Yes, that's just one model, folks, and that's the whole thing. Even if that one was right, it may not be agreed on with other models. And let's take a look at what the Canadian does. So Canadian, a very good, I like to use it. It's a very decent model. Only goes out to 240, so not 384 like the GFS. But let's take a look. Notice it brings in that clipper, that nor'easter, brings some snow into Canada, and right there, boom, that blizzard. And we do also see again, that system moving on to the west. What that results in is a little clipper. You could see a bit of snow for the Midwest on on Christmas Eve. So maybe a white Christmas if that snow does stick around, but you can see that there is a warm-up kind of right after that on Christmas Day. You can see the Canadian, it doesn't really show snow across the Dakotas or the Upper Plains on Christmas Day. If you recall, the GFS showed a large area of snow here. This one doesn't at all. And again, that's already a big difference. And we do have a little skirmishing kind of system across the northeast right there, Great Lakes, but we have a larger one towards the west, just this constant flow of precip. And what that does is, well, according to this one, the day after Christmas develops into a monster across the Midwest, does drop a lot of snow into the northeast. Again, the GFS did show something similar. It just showed it much further towards the south. Right, let me show you. It was also a bit earlier, right there. You can see December 26th on Sunday. The Canadian shows it on Sunday, just later on in the day. Boom, right there. A few hours of a difference, and that could mean the world regarding temperatures where snow may fall, and also just travel and whatnot. How impactful it is. Again, even if that storm, whatever it does, we can't stop because there's more on the way. And you can see, boom, right there's another system tries to organize some scattered rain showers across the Midwest, the South, especially towards the north, maybe some snow. Again, not an overly cold pattern for this southeastern third of the country because of these storms. Every time, even if there's a push of cold air, another system comes up and brings in a shot of warmer air. And I'll show you the temperatures in just a bit, because further across the northwest, southwestern Canada, it's going to be very cold, but it's not really going to make its way much further than that area into the United States. There we have another system, and you can see again across the southwest mainly. Again, the Canadian does try making something of it. Again, it's a bit different and kind of a very tough to I don't know if the Canadian has a good handle on this, but it's definitely still active. And I did say I wanted to show you that temperature, and let me use the European, or sorry, the GFS model for this, because I think it does a pretty good job with this. And let me just play this one out for you, and let me show you. This is pretty quick, so I just want to show you the general motion. Don't try tracking it out day by day, because that's kind of useless. Notice though, it is going to be warm on Christmas and a few days prior for much of the U.S., but look at that cold air. It's building, and some records could definitely be broken here. There could be snow for Seattle, for Portland. I did forget to mention that. Again, there's so many cities to cover, but that could be a pretty historic event. There could be quite a bit of that. Notice that cold is just truly remarkable. I mean, those anomalies are actually scary. And notice that it does penetrate once in a while into the United States, but it is fighting constantly with this warmer air mass, and that's why it's not really allowing itself to go much further than the kind of the northern, I guess, third of the country. And again, it depends on the weather model. You can see this one brings it pretty far to the south before it kind of retreats. Right, and it only goes out to hour 312, and yeah, and then it's a lot more dominant, that cold air, in the long term. I do think it will be. Just it may take a while for it to kind of settle in, especially further south. For the northwest, it's pretty immediate. You may be wondering, what am I showing you here? These are ensembles, so it's many models combined to show you what they all think regarding the cold. So it's not just one model. It's a bit more of a kind of averaged outlook, a bit more, usually a bit more accurate. So again, there will be very warm air on Christmas Day. You can see the 25th, the 26th, but that cold air does quickly start making its impact, especially towards the northwest. And to be honest, guys, to see these anomalies in terms of temperature on a ensemble forecast this far out, December 29th, this is truly extraordinary. And I think that is honestly not the best of news, because that is just too cold air. And I'm sure some people will like that, but really, that's just a bit hard to even imagine how cold some of those temperatures will be. And I do want to say that, again, the heat will be there. You can see the ensembles definitely show that heat, and it does kind of vary. Some runs of the ensembles show it a bit less oppressive, the heat, and you can see overall, though, the cold air does end up winning, if you will. You're right, and I do think that January will be kind of, especially the first half, very cold and snowy for the U.S. But if you were to take a look at, say, yesterday's model run at the same time, let's see if it showed any difference between the temperatures. Let's speed this up. You can see, obviously, it did show that warm, that cold air, and you can see that it did show it a bit further towards the south and east at this same time frame, that compared to what it does today, which is a bit more reserved. Whether or not that's accurate, whether or not it's going to be more reserved or more aggressive, it all depends kind of on the track of the storms. Each time there's a snowstorm, if it goes further north, it brings in a lot of warmer air, pushes it back. If it goes further towards the south, it's vice versa. It brings in more cold air and pushes the snow or cold back, or the warmth. And you can see that towards the end, most models at this point are predicting a pretty dominant cold air mass. GEPS, another group of ensembles, many models combined. Let's see what they show. You can see they do show that warm air across that Christmas kind of weekend, if you will, and then boom, we do see that cold air starting to make much more invasive steps towards the United States, especially the western half. How far this makes it, how soon, is a big question, but you could see this model too favors very cold air for January. That is actually an extraordinary, potentially, anomaly right there. So if you're snow starved, your city is, which most are, except a few in the north, then there's still good news for that. Let's go back now, ignoring the temperatures, and show you the European. So let's go back to this hyperactive pattern. I want to show you one more model to demonstrate how active and how different all models think about this kind of pattern. But look, there's our nor'easter, right? You can see. Let me just quickly zoom through this. It's active, storm after storm after storm. But the European does do a few things differently. You can see it does develop a bit of that Clipper system on the 24th, a bit further towards the north, so that wouldn't really mean snow for Canada. It would mean a bit for maybe Boston, but you can see it's a bit too warm for that. And it does end up developing kind of a system right there on Christmas Day. It really fails to do anything of it. A bit of snow across the Dakotas, nothing really else. And if you recall, the other two models on Sunday developed that first winter storm for the Midwest, because it's just snowing constantly across the West at this point. And look at that, boom, we see that monster right there. Again, the European, it takes it similarly, right? It's a similarly shaped system to the other models, just a bit further towards the north. Again, there are some differences, and we'll have to wait and see which model is correct. And you can see that it does produce kind of a second, tries doing a second storm out of that somehow. And we do again have constant snow across the West that continues, and we potentially see a very large one in the long range according to the European model, with again those temperatures also being cold to the north and west and pretty warm to the south and east of the United States. Total snowfall, let's take a look at the total one, not the 24. Boom, you could see the heaviest ones would be across the west, obviously, with very good amounts of snow. But wherever those storms occur, there will be some decent snow as well. Whether or not this is further north or south or east or west, it's still a bit, again, undetermined. And again, it all depends on how these systems occur. So that's what I have basically for you guys today. I did show you those ridiculous temperature anomalies, right? If you recall that, you definitely do. I just showed you that. I want to show you them actually in terms of Fahrenheit, though, just to show you why I'm so concerned about this. Look at those temperatures right there. I mean, those are negative 30, negative 20 Fahrenheit. That is extremely cold. And at this point, you're like, oh, that's Fahrenheit. How about Celsius? Negative 40 Celsius and negative 40 Fahrenheit are the exact same thing. That's where they kind of cross over. So again, this is pretty much of the same magnitude. Obviously, negative 28 Fahrenheit is a bit less cold, I think, than negative 28 Celsius. But again, once you get to negative 40, it's the same. So that's why I think it's fair to show you this is cold. Either way you look at it, negative 24 Celsius or Fahrenheit, it's cold. And you can see the large cities across the Northwest are going to be affected by that. And again, it does spread towards the east. Obviously, not with that same energy. You know, it's not going to be negative 20 across Indiana for now, at least. But you can see they do spread into Minnesota, into Illinois, into Michigan, and wherever the storms go, right, the snowstorms. If there's a large snowpack right here, you bet you can expect some negative temperatures into the new year. Again, very, 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 very changing forecast, and I think it's looking more and more snowy the further we get along. Total snowfall, I already did show you this several times. But let's actually look at this through the European kind of perspective, because I want to show you the Northwest. What did I just click on? I do not want to contact them. I want to click on the northwestern United States. And again, we have large cities here. And look, Portland, I think right there, that's Portland, right? 4.8 inches. Seattle, 3, so 4, right? So obviously this may not all fall in one snowstorm, but it's definitely a potential. And by the way, it's still changing for those locations. You can see this one, model run yesterday, showed much more snow for these locations. The model one before that showed also quite a bit more. So it's actually been a bit, I guess, of a trend downwards with that. Still, though, I wouldn't, lose my hopes if you want a bit of snow across Seattle and Portland. And it's still looking pretty promising. GFS model, right, really shows even more snow for those locations. I mean, could you imagine 23 inches for Seattle, right? I mean, that's extraordinary. I'd probably hope that won't happen for you, because that's just a bit too much. But yeah, you could get the scope of how extremely active this is. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new. I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.